Hey guys, Basil and Will with GraysonHobby, and it's raining again in Atlanta.
It's always raining.
Yeah. So good day to do a tutorial on how to bind
the Jumper T16
to a Spektrum Horizon
bind and
fly. So if you're new to the whole scene of Jumper, Jumper is a multi-protocol radio, which means it does Spektrum, it does FrSky, it does them all. And there are some little tricks that you have to do, otherwise it would never work. And we're going to show you those tricks today.
Yeah, so make sure you comment, subscribe below for our video channel, and stay tuned.
We need to get you a script. Comment below what airplanes you want to see next with us binding onto the Jumper. We'll be interested to see what you guys fly in. And is this Jumper something you would get if you fly airplanes? I sure am getting one and have one.
I got one.
Yes. All right, like always, if this video you find it useful and helpful, hit that subscribe button and be sure to support GraysonHobby. If it's a pack of props, batteries, quad, Jumper
Every
radios,
little bit helps.
Everything. Everything ships from right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Located right outside Atlanta, Georgia. It's usually about 2 days to the entire east coast of the country.
Also check out our Facebook group. A lot of tech support, help, stuff like that. We got a pretty good little community.
Yeah, everybody's helping each other out.
Everybody's been really good, very helpful in it. All right, guys. So one thing you're gonna have confusion with is because this is a Futaba-based or FrSky-based channel mapping. If you're coming from Spektrum, because you're in this case we're binding a Spektrum radio or a plane. If you're coming from Spektrum, it's throttle, aileron, elevator, rudder. This is not. This is aileron, elevator, throttle, rudder. That is channel 1 through 4. So channel 1 is aileron, 2 is elevator, 3 is throttle, 4 is rudder. If you do not set it up in that channel mapping, it will be all sorts of screwed up, and you run the risk of having the motor go full throttle and accident, somebody getting hurt.
That will happen. But don't worry, if that didn't make sense or you didn't follow, we definitely show you this in detail coming up.
So from that being said, what we're going to do is do a quick little bind with the GraysonHobby Sport Cub S, which is a very popular beginner plane, with the Jumper T16. So a lot of guys out there have the ready to fly Sport Cub S with the little basic 6-channel radio. We're going to switch it over to a Jumper T16 so to have a big boy radio.
Right. We're going to also, not only we're going to set the flight controllers, we're going to set up safe mode.
Yeah, we're also
and panic recovery.
So what we need to do is create a new model. We're going to hold model select, go into here, hold the scroll wheel again, create a model. We're going to go to plane. Now the channel mapping is going to confuse you guys if you're used to Spektrum JR. This is the module automatically changes the output based off the radio input. So we're going to go ahead and set up a plane. And in a regular configuration, my plane does have a motor, and instead of channel 1, which we're used to on Spektrum, this is going to set up the same as Futaba or FrSky. So channel 3 is going to be our throttle. So we're going to hit the page button. Number of ailerons. We're only going to have one aileron for a basic safe plane horizon, like a bind and fly. If they're more advanced, you might have more. But you'll see that's channel 1, which is switch A. This is aileron. Page 1 again. We do not have flaps on this model. Tail configuration. We are going to use channel 2 for elevator, which you'll see as A. Channel 4, which is B in this diagram, is rudder. So now we're going to go one more page, and you'll see motor channel 3, aileron channel 1, elevator channel 2, rudder channel 4. Typically on a JR, you would actually see motor channel 1, aileron channel 2, elevator channel 3, and rudder channel 4. However, with the Jumper radio, you do need to set up even a Spektrum radio in this mapping with this module. You can update the firmware in the module to change it, but as of what it comes out of the box, that's how it is. Then you'll click and you'll go, yes, all is well, create the plane, enter, then successfully create it, hit return to exit, and we're going to go to model. We got that. Now
ready to bind.
We're ready to set the internal receiver. So I'm going to go down, scroll all the way down, and you'll get to the point where you see internal RF. Go ahead and turn that off. There is no internal RF on this radio. Now we're going to go to external RF, which is our multi-module. It says multi. You want to make sure that's selected. FlySky is what the default configuration is. We're going to scroll over to the right until we get to DSM. Then this is a DSMX plane, so we're going to go to DSMX. Now there's two options on DSMX, 11 or 22. Typically most planes are going to run 22 unless they're running super expensive digital servos. So we're going to run 22 milliseconds. Then we're going to scroll down to bind. Now we have the radio configured. If you're doing multiple models, you can change the receiver number so it doesn't yell at you in the that the model's already been used. In this case, this is our first model on this radio, so I'm going to have it ready to bind. Once the plane is put into bind mode, you'll select it. It'll say binding. It'll chirp. Once the plane binds, if the receiver has telemetry, it'll actually say telemetry found. It does time out on the bind by itself, so you'll be there, and then we'll show you how to bind it. So we got a Hobby Zone Sport Cup S, and I'm going to get this sucker in bind mode here. And just for a basic control setups.
So plug in.
It's plugged in. Now, always guys, when you're powering these up and binding them, before you do that, please remove the prop. In this case, we're just going to secure the plane for this video. But always remember, before you set up any kind of plane, always remove the props, quads as well. That way, if you accidentally have the channel mapping wrong and the sticks are wrong, it won't go full throttle into your face or hurt anybody. So now we got this plane in bind mode, and I'm gonna select bind.
Telemetry lost.
I think that's it.
Then I'm gonna stop the bind.
Telemetry recovered.
And you'll actually hear that. Now we are very close.
Telemetry recovered.
So you'll see here. Now guys, there's two more things we need to do on this. What you'll find here, this plane is configured properly based off the tutorial we just did. But what you'll notice is ailerons is backwards, elevator is correct, rudder is backwards, throttle works. The problem is what they've done in this module is program it so you can use a default configuration for multi-rotors. Typically when using a multi-rotor, you have to reverse channel 2, reverse channel 4, and change the channel mapping of the radio. They've already done this in here. That's why the channel mapping doesn't make sense. It's more like Futaba based, and the channels are reversed. Typically you would not have to do that on this. So what we're gonna have to do, the next step is, I'm gonna put the plane aside for a second. I'm gonna disconnect the battery.
Telemetry lost.
We're gonna go back to the radio. So we're gonna go page over until you get to, there's a couple different ways you can do it, but I'm gonna go to outputs. And the channels we need to reverse was the aileron and rudder. Aileron is channel 1, so we're gonna go over to here and you'll see what it says. This is subtrim, min, max, and direction. The arrow is currently facing to the right. I'm gonna push it till the arrow faces the left. I'm gonna hit return one time. I'm gonna go down to 4. I'm gonna select it, and then I'm gonna scroll over to the direction. I'm gonna push it one time again. Now I'm gonna hit return and return until I'm in the main menu. Now we're gonna put this aside. We're gonna plug the plane back up and verify that our channels are correct. Again, if you did not have a prop on it, you would be able to check it with the radio or the battery still plugged in.
Telemetry recovered.
Now we got here right aileron, left aileron, right rudder, left rudder, up, down, and throttle.
All right, so we are good to go.
Yes. Now from there you would assign channels for safe mode,
Telemetry lost.
panic recovery, and you would also assign the flight mode switch. So now we're on the mixer page. So we need to assign channel 5, and the source for channel 5, source for channel 5 is going to be a 3-position switch. I'm going to use E in this case. I'm going to go back, and channel 6, which you can name it if you'd want. Let's go ahead and name this one Panic. Bear with me here, guys. And then I'm going to use that as the momentary button in the corner. And we're going to return. Now what we need to do is verify if the switches need to be reversed or not. So I'm going to go back to the plane, and way to check it on this particular plane because it has 3 flight modes for safe, and it also has panic recovery. So depending on what we found is, depending on your switch configuration and all that, you may or may not have to reverse channels. In this particular case, this is not the setup I want. I would rather have the safest mode farther away than closest to me. Basically in testing, you got safe mode, you have the intermediate mode, And then you have the advanced mode here. Panic recovery is working properly on the switch. So if you want the modes to be in a different order, what you'd have to do is go back into the menus. So go to model.
This is totally optional right here, right?
I mean, this, yeah, it would work as it is. We're gonna go page over, and just like we did with the other one, we're gonna go to the outputs tab. We're gonna go channel 5, scroll over, and change the direction. Now what that does, and I'm just gonna hit return after that, return out to the main menu. This gives me advanced mode closest to me, intermediate mode in the middle, and beginner mode in the center. And then at any time, panic recovery.
Okay.
So that is a basic tutorial on how to set up something like the Sport Cub S from GraysonHobby, a Spektrum plane with the Jumper T16.
There it is. Hope you enjoyed this video. You have to trust us, it works. It's raining. Please leave us some comments below what you fly. This will work pretty much on anything but Spektrum.
Yes, but always remember to check your channels prior to flying. Make sure your directions are not reversed or anything like that. Always do a pre-flight check on any planes or quads before you take them into the sky.
And always, always, always take your prop off.
Yeah,
safety first.
Yes.